Good afternoon, everyone. Most of the post-lunch sessions start with a very light joke about food coma or post-lunch slump, which is there. But I don't think that's the case today. Everyone must be super energized to listen to Sunil. We are trying to compress years of wisdom in 15 to 20 minutes, so please remain energized. This is going to be an exciting session. It's an absolute pleasure and honor for me to have this conversation with Sunil. I think I've been seeing Sunil's journey for last 22 years, and the amount of contribution that he has made to India's asset management industry is immense. Sunil, welcome, and really happy to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, and thank you, KFintech, and for inviting me and everyone for sitting to listen to us. Hopefully, we'll add some value.
So Sunil, let me start with the first question. And we were having this conversation a few minutes ago where you said that when you joined the Reliance AMC, the AUM was 35 crores. 35 crores to total AUM of in excess of 6-7 lakh crores. Mutual fund industry, we were discussing, was about 3 to 5,000 crores. And from there, we have come all the way to 75-80 lakh crores. This has been a tremendous journey. What are some of the key turning points and key learnings from your perspective of this journey? And what made it possible?
Oh, I think this question itself is a one-hour answer question. But I'll just try to summarize. See, ultimately, we are all beneficiaries of what has happened in the economy. So first of all, obviously, the economy that time was not even $100 billion. We are already $4 trillion in economy. Second is, as a country, we've evolved. So when we got our independence, we are such a poor country that the objective of our fathers and forefathers was roti kapda or makan. We hardly had any savings. And then the second phase came where we started to have savings, but because of the modest upbringing, the savings used to go in real assets, which we could see, which we could feel. So gold, jewelry, land. I think it's only in the last 20-25 years that this whole concept of financial savings has really picked up. And obviously, all of you, including us, have some part to play in it, including media, because when I started in Reliance, the first 10 slides of the presentation was what is a mutual fund and why it is safe. Now you don't have to start with that. So this awareness has been a big thing. But I'll tell you, all these numbers look big. But after 5-10 years, these numbers will look small. So you'll start, if 10 years back we were at 75 lakh crores, and now we are 10 times the size. So I think abhi to shuruaat hui hai. I think we have a long way to go. But it's a combination of a lot of things. And as I said, as long as the economy grows, we will all create wealth. And if we create wealth, ultimately wealth is going to lead to growth in the financial savings, and mutual funds will be a very important part of it.
So what are some of the key learnings that have been part of this journey for you personally? You started with mutual fund, then you went independent, set up your AMC, and with AIF and PMS, and now, obviously, congratulations, you'll be setting up your own mutual fund soon enough. What are some of the big investment learnings that have been part of your journey? So if you look at Warren Buffett's journey, he started with what is popularly known as cigarette butt investing, which was deep value. Then Charlie Munger era came, and then the era of Apple investing came. So that kind of transition you also would have seen, especially in the context of the way Indian economy has changed from a largely manufacturing and agriculture-driven industry to services and innovation-driven industry.
So few things. When I started, luckily for me, not too many people used to read balance sheets. So obviously, I am a very ardent fundamentalist and reader of balance sheet. Even now, I try to read 1,000, 1,200 balance sheets a year. And I think that gave us a runway. But on a broader perspective, I think if you have to be an equity investor, first of all, you have to be optimistic. You have to be optimistic about the future. Unfortunately, in India, we always try to ask negative questions. I'm saying this because फिर कोई question पूछेगा ही नहीं. So, what will happen if India-Pakistan war happens? What will happen if Israel happens? What will happen if tariff happens? We all ask negative questions. We never ask positive questions. If you want to be an equity investor, you have to believe that tomorrow is going to be better than today. If you don't believe that, spend your money, because then there is no use of being an investor. The other thing is we are an evolving country, and we are a country which grows because of entrepreneurs and despite the government. And I think that is what you have to focus on. I think entrepreneurship is huge. Entrepreneurship is thriving. All of you are entrepreneurs. There are so many companies which are entrepreneurs. Third is we are an evolving country in an evolving landscape. So the world itself is evolving. Gone are the days where you could say that 30, 40 years, this is going to be the business model and it's fine. The world is very dynamic. India is more evolving because we are young, we are embracing, changes very, very fast. And in that context, as an investor, one has to be open-minded. Something which might have worked for you in the past might or might not work in the future. So every day you have to constantly learn. And I think the other thing which we have to basically focus on, see, ultimately when you are investing in equity, you are becoming a partner in the business. You would want to become a partner in the business, which is into business to make profits, not to make market cap. Market cap should be an outcome. There are a lot of businesses which are set up to create market cap, not to create profit. I think so our philosophy is that invest in companies which have been set up to make money, to make profits. Market cap will be an outcome. So I think basic principles, don't make too many mistakes, don't deviate from your basic principles, and as I said, be optimistic. Always believe tomorrow is better than today. And ultimately wealth is relative. Three Idiots में I always give this example, वो result आता है and आमिर खान का नाम नहीं होता है. तो both his friends get sad कि अरे यार ये तो fail हो गया. And then his name is stood first. तो they become more sad. तो बोले दोस्त fail होता है तो दुख होता है, first आता तो ज़्यादा दुख होता है. So ultimately it is relative. I think we are making money in India. We are investing in India. जो सबका होगा हमारा होगा. I think don't blindly do it. But stay optimistic that this $4 trillion economy is ultimately going to become 10, 20 trillion. You will make money.
No, that's a great answer. Pessimism generally is considered more intellectual, so that's the problem. On the current market environment, Sunil, I'll borrow from Charlie Dickens' famous quote, and it feels like it is the best day and it was the worst day. Indian market situation also seems like that. Macro perspective, I think we are in a perfect place. It can't get better. Every parameter that you want to consider, whether it is inflation, whether it is interest rate, whether consumption growth, corporate balance sheet, health of the economy, everything looks impeccable. On the other front, we are facing a lot of global headwinds. A perfect storm, which is pretty much building up for last 24 to 36 months, and which in some sense has reduced confidence of global investors in India, but domestic investors have been extremely resilient. In that context, how do you see markets playing out going ahead? And what are some of the things that investors should be mindful of?
So, Vaibhav, I think, see, markets are like cardiogram. As long as they are up and down, we are all alive. And the ups and downs are because of multiple reasons, fundamental and non-fundamental. As I said, the world is dynamic. There are 180 countries. Each country has 200 factors. If you wait for all the 40,000 factors to be a tick mark, by the time you invest, Nifty will be 5 lakh, not Sensex. So there has to be some, I would say, reasonable analysis and expectation on the basis of which you do stuff. The other thing is the biggest opportunities come when the headwinds are the highest. So all of you, I'm very sure, must be, either thankful or ruing that why didn't you invest during COVID? Yes or no? COVID के time पे जिसने invest किया उसका 10 गुना पैसा हो गया. If you are great, if you are ordinary, 5 गुना हो गया. So I think these kind of events will keep on happening. I think last 1 year we have been flat as an equity market, but so many things happened. We were overvalued for sure. Mid-24, elections happened. During elections, nothing moves in India. For 5-6 months, everything comes to a standstill. Because for a politician, number 1 to number 10 objective is to win elections. Everything starts from number 11, and therefore there was a slowdown. September 24, economy grew only 5%, corporate profit grew only 3%, and then we recovered a little bit. But multiple conflicts and wars, we have never seen so many. You know, Israel, Iran, number one, Israel, Iran, second war, Syria, Lebanon, Hamas, Armenia, Azerbaijan, India, Pakistan, so many conflicts. Massive swings in currency, yen moving up and down 15%, dollar moving up and down 10, 12% in a year. You know, normally they don't move 1, 2%. And then obviously India was expensive, so sell India, buy China was also coming up. And on top of it, the last but not the least, Mr. Trump came in and all this COVID, this tariff thing started playing. But, you know, the best thing is when India is pushed to the wall, magic happens. We have a new RBI governor. He's released 8.5 lakh crores of liquidity, another 2.5 lakh crore between now and December because CRR has been cut. Interest rate has been cut by 100 basis points. 1 lakh crore income tax has been cut. 1 lakh crore GST has been cut. So I think there's a tremendous tailwind which is now emerging. Monsoons have been good. Rural economy is already flourishing. Tractor sales are up 25%. Agrochemical sales are up 25%. Tier 3, Tier 4 cities, towns and villages are seeing growth. I think अर्बन में पीपल रीड अ लॉट, मैं बोलता ना बहुत ज़्यादा ज्ञानी है, उनको बहुत कुछ पता है, तो दे रिस्ट्रेन देमसेल्व्स कि अभी कुछ होगा, अभी कुछ होगा. I think that will also happen. So I think things have been challenging, but they're settling down. I think the only one thing is when you invest in equity, return expectations go through the roof, which is what makes people do wrong things. So if you're expecting 25% return, what will you do? You will invest in momentum. Yeah. You will, make mistakes because you want to make more money, as I said, than your friend. Yeah. Independently, if you make 15%, it is not an issue. But your friend makes 20 and you make 15, then there is an issue. So you try to do a lot of wrong things. I think as long as your return expectations are mid-teens, I think India has the potential of growing at 7%. If you add 3-4% inflation and you add 3-4% alpha on it, I think making 14-15% is not a challenge. World will be always dynamic. There will be something which will happen. You know, it's so unpredictable. I think Trump can go and say, now we have 100% tariff. You never know. Yeah. On the other hand, he can come and say, no, India is my friend, Modi is my friend, and now the tariff is 15%. So those things are not in your hand. What are in your hands is just analyze what is happening on the ground, whether companies are growing, whether, there is an opportunity to, fundamentally invest in something. And I think if that is the focus, huge roadway ahead. Yeah.
I think this Gyani thing, I have an interesting story to tell. In 2015, I met a family in Rajkot. Two brothers who separated in 2005. One was extremely intellectual, and he diversified across asset classes. Second was and the brother said that my brother was hyper intellectual like you people, and he believed in asset allocation, FDs, everything, so he diversified. His net worth has gone up 4x. I invested all my money in equity. My net worth has gone up 20% because I am less intelligent. So that's a story. But coming to valuation, and I know you follow 15-15-15 framework. In current market, how challenging is it to find companies which meet those requirements?
No, I think it is challenging. As I said, earlier in 2003, no one used to read balance sheet. Now everyone is reading balance sheet, fundamentally aware. Kids are more smart. Kids have more resources, online, this, that. I am very sure when I was 20 and, when the kids today are 20, there's a big difference. So there is always there. And, 15, I think 14-15% ROE and 14-15% growth is still not an issue. Obviously, 15P is an issue. So, I think you have to take a call. So what we have tried to do is, at the portfolio level, we are still at around 15-16P. We are able to manage. I always say this, in 2021, just after COVID, we were trying to find stocks which can double in 3 years. 23, we started finding stocks which could double in 4 years. I think now we are comfortable even if stocks double in 5 years. I think if that thought process is there, then you are able to find decent stocks, But if the return expectations are crazy, then you have to go into stocks where fundamentally you might not be aware of. So yes, 15 is a good framework to have. I think little bit of leeway we use, but at the portfolio level, we are still able to, match what our objective is.
Oh, great, Sunil. The last question that I wanted to ask you about the way forward. If we remove all the noise, cut across everything, What are some of the big themes, segments, or some structural changes in economy that you envisage over the next 5 years, which can have tremendous amount of wealth effect in the country?
Actually, you don't have to listen to me or anyone else. You just have to see your own life, and you will see the changes. How many times you go to the restaurant, and how many times are you ordering food online, or how many times are you going to shop, and how many times are you ordering on Amazons of the world or whatever. What is your consumption in terms of entertainment? You have shifted from TV channels to the OTT platforms. I always say the first thing we do is see the phone when we wake up. The last thing we do is see the phone before we go to sleep. So I think if you just look at your own habits, I think you'll realize that things have changed. But frankly, I think as far as themes are concerned, some themes are basic, like financials. I think they will continue to do well. Within financials, there are new types of financials which have come in. Earlier, financials used to be only banks. Now there are some niche NBFCs. But more important, non-fund-based financials, like your business and our business. Wealth and asset management. A great business. और कौन सा business है जो आपको profit पे भी fees देता है? So I always say this, if Apple has to grow 20%, they have to sell 20% more phones than they sold last year. So if they sold 100, this year they have to sell 120. For our business to grow, you don't have to sell anything. 20% ऐसे grow हो जाएगा. So I think it's a great annuity model, and as long as economy is doing well, markets are doing well, I think we are doing well as intermediaries in terms of servicing our investors. That's a great business to have in. Insurance is a good business. I think pharma, India has great advantage. I think pharma we like. Chemicals, metals, engineering and industrials. I think these are some sectors again which we like. The only one thing is, see, India did very well because of IT services. It gave us foreign exchange, it gave us huge employment, Otherwise, we would have been in a soup. But now IT services is slowing down, and a lot of money is still there in IT services. Our view is that that money will find its way into some new age technology companies. And the new age technology companies are here to stay, and none of them qualify in that 15, 15, 15. But still, a lot of these companies have started becoming profitable. So we have started taking that call that at least let us look at what companies can survive from a 4-5 years perspective and can really do well. And I think there a little bit of, I would say, the new age dynamics of the economy, one will have to see, because some of these companies, US dekho na, top 8-10 companies are all new age companies. They did not exist 20-30 years back.
Absolutely.
So the dynamics of the whole economy is changing, and I think we have to be aware of that.
I think KFintech is also a classic example of a new age tech company. Sunil, I can't let you go without asking you about plans for the mutual fund, and when are we going to be able to invest in your mutual fund?
So I think we are very small. But the good thing is, I always said that when I joined Reliance, we were 35th out of 35 mutual fund. एक advantage है last होने का. आप उसके पीछे तो जा ही नहीं सकते हो. Even if you don't do very well, last का second last हो जाओगे. Last का last money. And I think that is where we are. There are 50 AMCs. We are going to start the smallest. The whole objective of AMC is obviously to offer another opportunity or another alternative to investors. And as long as we do well, I think investors हमको खोज के ले आएंगे. Obviously, we don't have as big pockets as some of the banks or the existing AMCs, and to that extent, we will not be in a position to give you 80-90%. And maybe we'll grow slow. But as I said, if we are able to do justice to our investors, we'll grow. Our objective also is to look at the new space which will emerge, which is the SIF. And I think there we will start at an even level compared to some of the AMCs. And being an owner, fund manager, entrepreneur helps, because we are able to take decisions faster. We are more connected at the grassroots level. बोले ना हम गल्ले पे बैठे हैं बॉस, और जो गल्ले पे बैठता है ना उसकी दुकान हरदम ज़्यादा चलती है कि नहीं? And I think that is what our attempt would be. So let's see, we are very excited. And, I think before I retire and pass on the baton to my kids, Ujjwal is here, we would like Abacus to outgrow any individual, including myself.
Now, that's a great vision, Sunil. And Thanks a lot for
Thank you.
sharing
Thanks a
your
lot.
insights with all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, Sunil, I think a big round of applause for Sunil.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us. You know, I must say, after lunch, we call it the graveyard shift, and it is the most difficult session to conduct. But thank you so much for doing it so wonderfully. Can I please request you to remain on stage for a few more moments? And now, to felicitate our speakers, I would like to invite Mr. Shrikant Nadella on stage, please. Can we welcome him with a huge round of applause? Let's begin with Vaibhav Porwal, a small token of our appreciation. And we also have Mr. Sunil Singhania. Thank you so much for being here with us. Well, can I please request you to step forward for one picture?